At the southern edge of Vietnam, farming follows the movement of water. In Cà Mau, one piece of land can support. From above, the logic becomes clearer. The field is not simply a rice paddy or a shrimp pond. Embankment. The change cannot be judged by appearance alone. Farmers monitor the water because salinity, acidity, and local conditions dictate. Control begins at these small water connections. Opening or restricting a gate changes how the field exchanges water. Most of the work is less dramatic than the harvest. Farmers repeatedly inspect water, banks, and channels. During the aquatic phase, the crop is largely hidden from view. What matters is maintaining in which the shrimp can grow. The deeper channels around the field are more than boundaries. They provide aquatic space and help farmers manage. Growth is checked in small samples rather than spectacle. Size and condition help indicate how the crop is progressing, and by late in the aquatic season, several signals have to agree. The crop, the water, and the approaching water. For now, the field still belongs to the shrimp cycle, but the landscape is approaching its turning point. As the dry season advances, attention shifts toward the condition of the shrimp and the water around them.
Water remains the controlling variable. Its condition affects the animals in the field, but it also determines how smoothly this land can later be returned to rice. A small test can reveal whether the crop is approaching marketable condition. The aim is not maximum spectacle, but before the main catch begins, the work zone has to be organized. Nets, containers, and access are prepared.
Harvest is a coordinated operation. The net closes gradually, concentrating the shrimp.
Only at the end of the pull does the crop become fully visible. Months of hidden growth are reduced to a practical question: how efficiently can this catch now be handled?
Once the shrimp leave the water, speed matters for a different reason. Careful handling protects the value of the cutting. In this landscape, canals are part of the transport system as well as the water system. The harvest leaves by water, but the field stays behind. And that is what makes this system unusual. The shrimp harvest is complete. What happens next depends not on rebuilding the farm, but on changing its water.
With the shrimp removed, the farm enters a short but critical transition. The channels remain, the banks remain. The next crop cannot begin with a guess. Farmers check the water repeatedly because the return of rain does not remove salt from the landscape in a single moment. Then the weather begins to change. The first rains do not create a rice field overnight, but they start the slows. Rainfall creates the opportunity, but control still happens here. Water has to be admitted, retained, or carefully.
Across the field, the change is gradual. Fresh rainfall and controlled exchange begin reshaping the water conditions.
One rainfall event may not be enough. Water can be exchanged more than once, as farmers use the wet season to move the...
After each exchange, the water is checked again. The process is repetitive by design.
Before machinery enters the field, the water routes have to work properly. Even a small blockage can leave one area too wet, while another drains too quickly. Only when the water is manageable can the field begin its physical conversion. The next step is not to Now the transformation becomes visible. The wet surface is worked into a planting bed, and for the first time since the shrimp harvest. Preparing wet ground is a controlled process. Each pass breaks and mixes the surface, gradually creating a more... By the end of preparation, the landscape has changed function without changing shape. The aquatic work zone has become a... Before seed is committed to the field, farmers check the surface one more time. Water depth and soil condition now matter. With the ground ready, attention turns to the seed. The field may cover a broad area, but establishment begins with a month.
Now the rice season truly begins. Seed is distributed across the prepared surface, but there is no instant.
Once seed is down, water management becomes more delicate. Too much or too little can undermine establishment. Days later, the first green shoots begin to break the brown surface. This is a new time point in the season, not a ring. Establishment is never perfectly uniform. Some patches strengthen sooner than others, and farmers watch these differences. The water system has not changed, but its purpose has. During the shrimp season, it maintained an aquatic environment. The field has now crossed another threshold. What was recently an aquatic production area is recognizably a young rice field. Once the plants are established, the work becomes a long period of observation and control. Growth may look passive. Rice needs water, but not simply more water. Farmers regulate depth according to the crop and the condition of the field.
Rain can supply the field, but it can also create too much water. The task is therefore one of balance, holding it.
As the canopy thickens, the field begins converting sunlight, water, and nutrients into plant structure.
Mechanization can reduce labor where field conditions allow it, but the machinery has to fit the landscape. On wet ground, scale and timing matter as much as power. By this stage, the field has become a continuous green canopy. Yet beneath that visual transformation, wet season farming also means responding to rainfall after it arrives. A blocked connection may seem minor, but
The crop is now approaching another biological threshold. Energy that built leaves and stems begins shifting.
Soon, panicles begin to rise above the canopy. The field is still green, but its purpose is changing again.
From above, the contrast with the dry season field is now unmistakable. But the transformation has come from time. Flowering marks one of the most sensitive stages of the rice season. The plants have built their structure, now
At this point, much of the decisive work is happening inside the plant. Flowering is brief. After flowering, the grains begin to fill. Their increasing weight will eventually bend the panicles downward, turning a gin. Even as the grain develops, water remains part of the control system. The requirement changes with the crop.
Ripening does not arrive everywhere at exactly the same moment. Differences across the field matter because harvest timing depends on the conditions. Weeks after flowering, the change becomes visible across the landscape. Chlorophyll fades, grain weight increases.
Before machinery enters, farmers assess whether the grain has reached the right stage.
Harvest begins before the first grain is cut. Access has to be checked because heavy equipment must enter a landscape that still carries water. When conditions are ready, mechanization returns to the field. But this machine has to fit farm and then the first pass begins. In a few meters, months of biological growth become a physical harvest line. Pass by pass, the field changes again. The difference is now written directly into the landscape, with standing grain on one side and harvested stubble on the other. The ends of each pass demand particular care. On soft ground surrounded by channels, turning a harvesting machine is as much. Inside the machine, several operations happen in sequence. The crop is cut, grain is separated. Harvesting is only the first movement of the grain. As the combine fills, rice has to be transferred out of the field, so the operation now develops a rhythm: cut, collect, transfer, and return. Each movement depends on the previous one. From directly above, the progress is measurable without graphics. The golden area contracts with every pass.
The final strip closes the rice harvest. What remains is not an empty field, but a layer of stillagement system.
With cutting finished, the heavy machine leaves the field. The crop has been removed, but the productive cycle is not over. Post-harvest work is about restoring function rather than rebuilding the field. Existing water routes are checked. The rice season ends where the shrimp season once began, at the water's edge. After the rice is removed, the next transition begins cautiously. Water returns to the...
The return toward aquatic production is gradual. From above, the field still carries the evidence of its rice crop.
Only after the water reaches suitable conditions can the next aquatic cycle begin. That decision... Nothing here has been rebuilt. The same banks, channels and field have carried the farm from shrimp to rice.
In Cà the achievement is not a single harvest, but the ability to use one landscape twice, Rice and